Hi, I'm Mark Mazzaferro, and it's time for another episode of The Works. And with us, as always on The Works, is Public Works Director Sean Cunningham, and a guest. Sean, why don't you introduce our guest today?
All right, Mark, thank you. This is Tracy Rideout. He's our senior civil engineer, and Tracy is in charge of the design, CIP design section of engineering services.
CIP Capital Improvement Project.
Correct.
Yeah.
So basically, all the capital improvement projects that we do in Vacaville, Tracy's responsible for taking them from inception through design, environmental clearance, right-of-way acquisition, all the way up to construction, where he turns it over to Tanya Scow, who's the senior for construction. So.
Well, and there's a reason why Tracy's here, because we're kind of right in the middle of the execution of a big CIP project right here in our town, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
And that would be the Jepson Parkway project, right, Tracy?
That's correct. We've started work on Jepson Parkway. We're very excited about it. Things are going well so far.
So riddle me this: how long has this project been in the planning stages, or when did it first come up that we should do the Jepson Parkway? Well, wait a minute. Let me even back up even further. What is the Jepson Parkway project?
Well, that's a good question. The Jepson Parkway project is a large-scale project that contemplates widening several inter-county roads from I-80 and Leisuretown Road in Vacaville all the way to Walters Road and Highway 12 in Suisun City. It involves the Solano County, the City of Vacaville, City of Fairfield, and Solano Transportation Authority was the project sponsor for the overall project, coordinating with the various local agencies to do each piece of the puzzle within their jurisdiction.
So we got a lot of agencies involved. Go ahead, Sean.
Well, I just want to, and maybe that's where you're going to go. There are a lot of, this is a unique project for Vacaville, and really a feather in Tracy's cap because, well, feather in engineering services cap. The Solano Transportation Authority, they actually were the ones that were successful in securing this grant through the State Transportation Improvement Program. It was a $30 million grant. Half of that was going to be spent for the Jepson Parkway portion in Fairfield, and half was to be spent in Vacaville. And so originally, STA could have actually managed that entire project, including hiring a design consultant and managing that design consultant. We lobbied early on. That was when Rod Maresco was still here as the director. We lobbied with STA to actually let us, say, it's our street, let us manage the project. That's what we do. Tracy actually got dragged through a lengthy process where we actually had to compete through a proposal process with STA. We had to put together a design proposal for the project and be competitive in how we did that. So we were successful in basically being the consultant to STA on this project. And so it was a good process, but it was also, like I say, it was a feather in our cap because Tracy and his team, they did a very good job delivering what they promised, when they promised it, and within the budget. So it's unique. Normally we're not working for somebody else.
That's not how it goes. So we've got the part from Leisuretown Road and 80 all the way down to Vanden Road. Is that about right?
Yeah, and several segments have already been constructed, including Leisuretown Road overcrossing. 3 bridges were widened along Leisuretown Road. The Orange Drive Leisuretown Road intersection and the Gateway project were all completed already. So this project is the first of 2 phases to complete the Vacaville portion of Jepson Parkway. And the current project, northern terminus is Commerce Place, just north of Elmira's intersection with Leisuretown Road, and it runs all the way down Leisuretown to the Vanden Road intersection, and then completes the section on Vanden Road that exists within the city limits.
Okay, cool. But I guess why I don't want to say we're making a big deal out of it, but we're really making an effort to let people know this is going on because this portion of the project's going to have the most impact, I guess, on residents. I mean, when we widened the part near 80, and the biggest argument was what kind of art are we going to put in the median? It seemed like, and it kind of, and even that had a level of controversy. I don't know if you remember, right. But now, I mean, we're talking about we're going to be closing segments of the road. There's going to be detours. There's a lot more involved in this portion of the project.
That's true, and we have been involved with residences. We're getting emails, phone calls from them. We have a great partner in Tykert Construction who's doing this project for the city. They were the low bidder, and they came in with a great idea to shorten what was originally anticipated to be a 2-year construction project down to 1 year. And with that, we evaluated the impacts on the residences, and with all construction, there's going to be impacts. But we looked at it holistically and said, is it better to impact people for 6 months or for 2 years? And we figure if we can get this project done in a year, it's going to be much better for everybody and be less of an overall impact to the city.
Sure.
We've looked at alternative routes and detours and done traffic analysis, and we feel like we've got a good plan in place that can limit most of the impacts as much as possible. So that's the plan moving forward, and the construction team is on board with that, as well as the city's inspection crews and resident engineer that's out there on a daily basis handling phone calls from residences, dealing with emails, and trying to get as much information as possible out there ahead of time.
We should also mention, I mean, one of the ways that Tykert is going to be successful in shortening that time frame, they came in with a plan to actually close a segment of Leisure Town Road, essentially from Vanden all the way up to Arbor Oaks, just south of Elmira Road, for a period of somewhere between 4 and 6 months. Hopefully 4 would be on the short side, 6 on the long side. That's a big deal, obviously. That's not something we like to do, especially on a major arterial, but that is a key element in them being able to finish this project early. As Tracy said, I mean, the reason we're doing this project, it is a reliever route. It's a commuter route. So the majority of the people using Leisure Town Road are between 80 and Fairfield already, or Travis Air Force Base. So if the project went, like as Tracy mentioned, just normal construction, if we didn't close it, there would still be lane closures and delays, as we're already seeing. The majority of those people are going to reroute themselves anyway, except that would be for a period of 2 years. We're hoping to bring that down in 1 year. So that, I have to say that because I'm the one that said, okay, let's close the road. And
So it's your fault then. is what
we
you're
think
saying,
it's
John.
a good reason.
Oh, okay, good.
So.
Well, I mean, we saw the same thing happen with the Peabody Road overcrossing down by the train station.
Exactly.
Where it was,
and it was very successful.
Yeah, shall we take 2.5 years to do this or close it and take a year to 18 months? And that project is done. It's over and done with. And while sure it was inconvenient for a short time, I don't recall getting a lot of complaints. People, they understood, they got it. And in the end, it's a much smoother trip now.
Right.
So, and
That's
that's
it.
exactly the goal with this effort.
Exactly. Good example.
All right, so we've got a meeting coming up for the public to attend. Tracy, why don't you share that information with us?
So April 20th at 6 p.m., there's going to be a public neighborhood meeting held at the Ulatis Cultural Center. We'd like to invite the public to come and address concerns, ask questions. We'll be able to describe the detours, the construction progress, how long things are going to take, what's going to happen to your backyard fence, all of those things. Some of that's available on the city's website now, and there are links on our webpage, the Jepson Parkway Project webpage, to the Solano Transportation Authority project webpage that has, extended information if you want to really dig into the weeds and look at environmental impact reports and things like that.
Right.
But we're going to be there. Staff will be there. Members of Tykert Construction has been invited to be there. So, come and ask your questions, and we'll be there to provide answers as best we can.
Yeah, I think as a resident of Vacaville, I try to, as often as I can, I try to avoid getting on the freeway. I mean, the freeway's a mess, and our on and off ramps aren't the best either. So if this is going to make it easier for me to go from one side of town to the other, I'm taking it. Let's face it. And while we're going to add, we're going to move some stoplights and add some stoplights. I mean, overall, it's going to be a much better ride from north to south, I guess, essentially.
That is the goal. That's right. That's the vision of STA, and that's what we want to
And
see
that's
happen.
what we're shooting for.
Yep.
Good.
And a safer route as well.
You're right. Good. All right. Well, that's moving along. We've got crews out there right now. They're not really, the roads aren't closed yet. We're looking at May 1st for the major part of the work to start, right?
Yeah, so the intersection of Vanden Road and Leisuretowne Road is currently on signal flash, which means it's operating as a stop sign. Construction crews are out there. They're performing underground work. They're putting in storm drain pipeline and water pipeline. Once that work is accomplished, that signal will become stop sign. And then at May 1st, we're going to close sections of Leisuretowne. The closure will occur south of Elmira Road to north of Alamo Drive, and also south of Redstone Parkway to the Vanden Road, Leisuretowne Road intersection. Vanden Road will remain open in a north-south configuration, and Alamo Drive will remain open east and west, and they'll have access to the Alamo Place subdivision and Countrywood subdivision, and Elmira Road will be open during that time east-west, as well as accessing to the north.
Great, and we have lots of this information on our website already. It's cityofvacaville.com/Jepson. Take you right to the page. I just updated it the other day with the latest info that I have gotten, and these guys are very good about feeding me info and providing updates. So we'll be putting it on that website page. We'll be posting it on our Facebook, on all our social media accounts. So we're going to do our best to keep everybody informed, aren't we, gentlemen?
Yep, that's
Absolutely.
the goal. And thank you for your help with that.
It's our pleasure. So speaking of projects, we got another one that's not nearly as big a scale as the Jepson Parkway, but it's happening right outside our front door, and that's Merchant Street. Tell us where we're at. I saw a guy with a scrubber erasing lines the other day. That was pretty crazy.
That's a sign of progress, believe it or not.
So where we at?
Well, the Merchant Street project that started out as actually an ADA project, trying to get improve ADA accessibility on the sidewalk along the west or the east side of Merchant Street, and that portion is complete. In other words, the sidewalk has been reconstructed from Walnut all the way down to past Lovers Lane. So that was the major portion of the project. In order to make that happen, when we started looking at it, we felt that it would be probably a better design, instead of trying to widen the sidewalk back into the Pacific Hardware and Pietro's parking lot and impacting an already tight parking configuration. We actually narrowed Merchant Street by 4 feet and widened the sidewalk out into Merchant Street. What we're also going to do, and that's why they were out there erasing the lines, is what we're going to do is restripe Merchant Street basically from Lovers Lane all the way down to Mason Street. It'll be one through lane in each direction. We'll be putting in a center turn lane, a two-way left turn lane, and then there would be parking and bike lanes on the outside on both sides. So looking at the capacity, the traffic demand for now and the next 20 years, really there's not a demand for 4 lanes. So what there is a demand for, especially in the 600 block there with Pacific Hardware and Pietro's and whatnot, is the left turn, the protected left turn lane. So we feel that the trade-off, losing the 2 lanes but gaining one, the bike lanes, and then also most importantly the center turn lane, is going to be a major safety benefit. So Lister Construction, they've been very good. They worked much of the winter, and they completed the project on time. In order to restripe it, we have to slurry seal the entire, well, we don't have to, but we want it to look nice and clean when we're done, so we're going to slurry seal the entire limits of the street. That does 2 things. One, it's good to have the slurry coat on top of the street. It'll help preserve and protect the pavement. It also gives us a clean canvas to put down the new striping, so you won't see the old stripes and everything. That is very weather dependent. That process, the cure process, demands consistent warm weather, which we have not seen much of yet. So we have it scheduled for next week. That's what we're hoping for. Looks like we have rain forecast for next week. We'll see how that goes. But within the next couple weeks, we will have Valley Slurry Seal coming in and doing the slurry. We'll follow that with striping. Once the striping is in place, we will come in and clean up the traffic signal, because then the new lanes will be where they're supposed to be. We can get the new signal turned on, and then we're done.
Are we going to have like a grand opening, grand reopening, any big celebration planned? Or I don't know how you would do that on a street that's that busy, you know, but I guess you could, you know.
We weren't planning to,
No?
but
Oh,
you know,
okay.
but you know what? Let's do it. Let's have a parade
Oh, that's a great idea.
somewhere in May, towards the end of May.
Brilliant. Why didn't I think of that? We'll line up all our public works vehicles and just send them right down Merchant Street. How's that sound? Ceremonial
I'm talking
first
about
truck.
Fiesta Days.
Hey, that's an
Mark.
even better idea.
Come on,
Yeah,
Mark.
hello? Is this thing on? Yeah. Yeah, Fiesta Days. That's a great idea. Why didn't I think
We'll
of
call
that?
that the grand
You
opening.
know what? We'll have a grand marshal and everything. Let's
There
do it
you
right.
go.
Wow. Thank God we got some brains in this room here. All right. Well, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to this being done. It's neat to see the progress. The sidewalk looks great. I mean, there was no sidewalk to speak of over there. It was, you know, trees and asphalt
yeah,
and
right.
who knows what else. Certainly, if you were in a wheelchair or needed some sort of accommodation, you had a problem on that side of the street. So
It turned out very good, and that was another design in-house by Tracy and his
Wow.
crew. So
Wow.
they've been busy. And
maybe
continue
Tracy
to be
should have
busy.
his own show. You
Let's
think?
do that.
Oh, I don't know about
The
that.
Tracy Ride Out design show. Why not? We'll talk later. I'll have my people call your people.
Okay.
All right, great. So Emergent Street's coming along. It'll be done hopefully by Fiesta Days. Is that what you're kind of?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Anything else going on in Public Works you want to share or bring us up to date on, Sean?
Let me talk a little bit about maintenance and what we're doing on the maintenance side of Public Works.
Sounds good.
It's been a topic of concern, and it's been in the news lately with controversial gas tax hikes. The benefit to us, regardless of how you feel about tax hikes, is that it should bring in some additional much-needed dollars for us to maintain our streets. Maintenance. We are planning to do a slurry seal project this year in the north part of town. What we like to do before the slurry seal, which is basically painting the streets, is we go in and then what areas are failed, we call it base failure. So that means there's water getting through the pavement section down into the rock, and the rock starts to fail. So we go in ahead of time and we grind that out. We plug it with 6 inches of asphalt, concrete, and then we come back in and slurry it. So Public Works maintenance crews are busy right now doing. I think they're doing about 80,000 square feet of base failure, which is quite a bit. It's a big undertaking. So they've got a full crew busy with that. Tracy's wrapping up the slurry seal contract. We contract that work out, so they'll come right behind us and do that. So that's
That's a biggie.
that's a big.
I mean, when I first got to Vacaville, it's been almost 11 years now, hard to believe. Our streets were in great shape. And that's not to say they aren't now, but you could clearly see that because of budget issues and the economic downturn, that we just weren't able to put the resources into maintaining those streets
Right.
like we had in the past. So it's nice to see that we're able to kind of try to get close to where we were before. Huh?
That's the goal, and you hit it on the head, Mark. We have had a program in place for 15 years before the downturn, where we would, every 5 years, and then later, because of money, we went to every 7 years. But regularly, we were on a slurry seal. Every street in Vacaville was slurry sealed every 5 or every 7 years.
Yeah.
And then there was also money available to overlay arterials and collectors like that. There was 5 years from 2008 to 2013 where we did no slurry seal.
Right.
If you remember the one year we scraped together and did a crack seal. So
Yeah,
we
right.
went in and painted all the cracks black.
That was beautiful.
It looked ugly, but it did the job.
Wow.
We're now finally getting out of that. There's money available. Measure M has been huge. That funded reconstruction of several streets early in the year, and that's funding the base failure right now. And the gas, like I say, the gas tax, that's a bitter pill. But it will help. That money, will help Vacaville. So
Well, that's good to hear that we're slowly but surely trying to get back to our, I don't want to say status quo, but certainly a better level of repair and maintenance on our streets, because that's important, not only in terms of people who live in town, who drive around, but businesses and people who come visit,
Right.
I mean, it makes an impression, there are some communities in the area that their streets are failing, and if that's failing, what else is failing? It just kind of tells a story.
Well, and the biggest thing, you're right. I mean, as far as just being able to bring businesses in and what Vacaville looks like, that's important. From my perspective, once the street fails, that's when we create real problem. It costs 10 times more to reconstruct a street than it does to maintain it.
Right.
And we don't have money to maintain it. So once it fails, we're never going to have the money to reconstruct it.
Yeah,
So
right.
it's a fight, and I think we're making good progress right now.
Well, you do. You guys are doing a great job over there. And as a resident, I certainly appreciate it. So, and I hope you guys all appreciate it too. And thanks for all the updates on the big projects. There's a lot
Sure.
going on. And again, as the economy improves, you're going to be able to do even more things in our community.
Hope
aren't
so.
you? Yeah,
Absolutely.
Well, thanks, gentlemen, again for the updates, and thank you all for watching this episode of The Works. We'll see you next time.